You know that feeling, that really specific physical sensation when you're watching someone do something
Yeah.
and they're doing it, let's be generous here, inefficiently.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right. Maybe they're loading the dishwasher and it's like a game of Tetris that's gone completely wrong.
Or the Tupperware cabinet.
Oh, don't even get me started. Or, you're telling a story at a dinner party and they're leaving out the best part.
Yeah.
The punchline.
Yeah, the most important details. And you're just sitting there, biting your tongue.
Biting my tongue. And I can feel this tightness right in the middle of my chest. My hand, I swear, it actually starts to twitch a little bit. You just want to jump in.
You want to grab the steering wheel.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to fix it. You want to
Yeah.
manage the outcome so that it's, right.
It's the universal itch. I know it so well. It's that visceral need to just take over.
It is an itch. And for a lot of us, and I am absolutely 100% raising my hand here, that itch is constant. It's like relentless. We spend so much of our days trying to manage everyone else, their feelings, their reactions, their behaviors. And we convince ourselves, that we're the glue. We're holding the entire universe together.
It's a huge burden, this belief that if I don't remind my partner to grab his keys, well, disaster strikes.
Exactly. Or if I don't smooth over that awkward comment my mom made at Thanksgiving, the whole family is just going to fall apart.
Right. And on the surface, it feels like we're being helpful. It feels like we're creating safety.
It does. It feels like safety.
But that's the great deception, isn't it? It feels like safety, but what it actually is a cage. It's what psychologists call the fixer mentality.
The fixer mentality.
Yeah. We convince ourselves that control equals security. But if you really look at the data, if you look at the psychological toll, control doesn't equal security. Not at all.
What does it equal?
It usually just equals burnout. It's the fastest, most efficient route to absolute soul-crushing exhaustion.
And that is the whole premise we're unpacking today. We have a massive stack of notes here, articles, research, all surrounding Mel Robbins' latest work, specifically this framework she calls the let them theory. And the core argument is, it's pretty provocative. It suggests that the secret to peace, and I mean actual deep in your bones peace, where your shoulders finally drop away from your ears, it isn't about doing more to manage the people around you. It's about doing less, way less, regarding others and, significantly more regarding yourself.
It's a complete inversion of how most of us operate, especially, high-functioning people. We're trained from day one to think that effort equals result.
Right. If I just try harder, the situation will improve.
Exactly. If I just apply more force, I can control it. This theory just flips that completely on its head. It says the effort, the trying, that's actually the problem.
Wow.
And to really get this, I think we have to look at the source. Because Mel Robbins isn't writing this from some ivory tower. This isn't theoretical philosophy from someone who's had, a breezy, conflict-free life.
No, not at all. And I think that context is so vital before we even get into the how-to of all this. Most people know Mel from the 5-second rule, where they see these viral clips where she looks so put together and confident on a stage.
Polish.
Totally polished. But the backstory here is, it's gritty. It's really uncomfortable.
Extremely gritty. If you, rewind the tape on her life, Mel Robbins, at age 41, was not a media mogul, not even close. She was unemployed.
Right.
She was facing $800,000 in debt. Her husband's restaurant business was failing. I mean, she talks about just lying in bed, hitting the snooze button over and over again, just staring at the ceiling, watching her life essentially crumble around her.
$800,000. Just say that number out loud. It's suffocate. That's the kind of pressure that literally changes your physiology.
It's survival mode, pure and simple, fight or flight. So when she talks about anxiety and when she talks about this desperate, clawing need to control things, she's talking about it from experience. She knows what it feels like to think, if I just grip this steering wheel tighter, if I just micromanage every single penny and every movement, maybe, just maybe, the car won't crash.
So this theory wasn't born in a seminar or workshop?
No, it was born out of the trenches of real, genuine fear.
Okay, so the mission for this deep dive today is to break down this psychological framework she developed. It's a 2-part equation, which I think is really important. It's let them plus let me.
The let me is crucial.
It's the key. And I want to be really clear right up front. This is not about being passive. I think when people first hear let them, they immediately think, oh, so just be a doormat. Just let people walk all over you.
And that's the biggest misconception we have to clear up, right now. It's not passive at all. It's actually an aggressive reclamation of your own power.
Aggressive.
Yeah.
I like that.
It is. It's about strategically detaching from the chaos you can't control so you have the energy to completely dominate the things you can. It's a power move. It's strategic, not passive.
Okay, I love that framing. So
Yeah.
let's get into the origin story because, again, this didn't happen in a therapist's office.
Yeah.
It didn't happen during some silent meditation retreat.
No.
It happened in a driveway, in the pouring rain, during a high school prom.
The prom story. It's such a perfect microcosm of parental anxiety. It's so relatable to anyone who has ever tried to herd cats, which is, essentially what parenting teenagers is.
It is comedy gold, honestly.
Yeah. Oh.
So let's set the scene here. It's Mel's son, Oakley. It's his senior prom. And if you've ever been around a teenage boy, you know that planning ahead is not exactly a core strength.
That's a generous description. Their prefrontal cortex is still under construction.
It's a vacant lot, so it was chaos.
Total chaos.
A complete last-minute scramble. He's hunting for his tuxedo. He needs these very specific sneakers. The date was a last-minute ask. So the tension in the house is already like at a 10 out of 10.
And Mel is in full mom mode.
Full blown.
Yeah.
She's vibrating with the need to fix everything to make it perfect for him.
Yeah.
And then we have the corsage incident.
Ugh, the corsage. This is just a classic textbook example of what psychologists call overfunctioning.
Okay, break that down. What's overfunctioning?
It's when you take on responsibility for things that aren't yours to manage. You do more than is appropriate or necessary. So Mel goes out and buys this beautiful, expensive corsage. She wants to be the good mom, right? The prepared mom.
Of course.
The problem, Oakley had explicitly told her, Mom, do not buy flowers. My date is making her own corsage. She does not want one.
But the fixer brain doesn't hear that, does
Right.
it?
No, the fixer brain overrides it and says, but what if the homemade one breaks? What if she changes her mind? What if she feels left out when she sees the other girl's flowers? I need to be the hero who saves the day with the backup corsage.
It's the arrogance of it, really. It's assuming you know better than the actual people involved in the situation.
That's it exactly. So Mel brings the corsage, and of course the date arrives, and she's wearing this really cool, creative wrist corsage she made herself out of ribbon.
And now it's just excruciatingly awkward.
Oh, the cringiest. Mel is trying to foist these flowers on this poor girl, saying, just take it, just wear it. Oakley is absolutely mortified, and the girl ends up wearing 2 corsages just to be polite.
Oh, no. I am cringing just thinking about it. You're literally creating a problem by trying to prevent a hypothetical one. You're inserting yourself into a narrative that doesn't even belong to you.
But that was just the appetizer.
The main course is the weather.
Of course.
Yeah.
The skies just open up, a torrential downpour. So now you have 20 teenagers, all dressed in black tie-long dresses, rented tuxedos, standing outside trying to take photos.
The humidity is rising, the hair is frizzing, the makeup is running, and the
Right.
rain is just coming down in sheets.
And then the kicker. The parents all realize the kids have no dinner plans. No dinner plans, 20 kids, on prom night, in a rainstorm, no reservation anywhere.
This is a nightmare scenario.
And the kids, in their infinite teenage wisdom, decide, hey, let's just all squeeze into Amigos.
And we need to give some context on Amigos.
Yes, Amigos is basically a taco shed. It's tiny. It seats maybe, 4 people comfortably. It's a place you go for a quick lunch, not for a formal dinner with 20 people in ball gowns and tuxes.
This is the exact moment where every parent listening is probably feeling their blood pressure spike.
Yeah.
Mel just loses it.
Completely. She whips out her phone. She's frantically Googling Italian restaurants, pizza places, anything that can seat a large group last minute on a Saturday night. She's in full-blown panic-fixing mode.
And she's projecting all of her own anxiety onto these kids who, quite frankly, didn't seem to care that much.
They were fine. And that is the catalyst. Her daughter, Kendall, steps in. She physically grabs Mel's arm. She stops the frantic scrolling, and she looks her mother right in the eye and delivers the line that birthed this entire theory.
What does she say?
She just says, Mom, if they want to go to a taco bar, let them.
And Mel pushes back, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't get it at first.
No, she argues. She says, but they'll get soaked. Their sneakers will get ruined. It'll be a disaster. They won't even fit inside.
And Kendall just doubles down.
She does. She says, let them get soaked. Let them ruin their sneakers. It's their problem, Mom, not yours.
Wow. From the mouths of babes.
And Mel describes this moment as a physical release. She said it was like a valve opened up inside her. The tension just evaporated. Poof. She stopped trying to control the weather, the dinner, the shoes, the flowers. She just handed Oakley $40 for tacos and watched them all run out into the rain.
And here's the punchline, which is almost always the case in these scenarios. The kids were fine.
They were better than fine. They didn't care about the rain. They probably loved the tacos because it was an adventure, a funny story to tell. The only person who was suffering in that driveway was Mel.
Because she was trying to control the uncontrollable.
By trying to manage their experience, she was absolutely ruining her own. She was missing the whole moment because she was so busy trying to direct it.
Okay, so that brings us perfectly to our first section. We need to properly define this framework. Because let them is catchy, right?
Yeah.
It makes for a great hashtag, a great tattoo. But as we said, there's so much nuance here. We need to really look at the mechanics of how this works.
Right. Let's break down the equation. Part 1 is let them. This is the surrender.
To surrender.
It's the act of acknowledging a fundamental, unchangeable law of human nature. You cannot control what another adult thinks, feels, or does. You just can't. You can influence them, you can suggest things, you can beg, but you cannot ultimately control them.
And this concept, it just went viral immediately. She posted, what, a 60-second video just riffing on this idea?
Yeah, it's just a short clip.
Yeah.
And within 24 hours, it had 15 million views.
That's insane.
People started sending her photos of let them tattoos they were getting.
Yeah.
I mean, it clearly struck a very, very deep nerve.
But why? Why did it resonate so deeply with so many people so quickly?
Because we are exhausted. Collectively, as a society, we are just burnt out. We're exhausted from trying to force the world to match the script in our heads.
The script.
Yeah, we all have this detailed script of how everything should go, how our partner should act, how our kids should behave, how our career should progress. And when reality deviates from that script even a little, we panic.
So let them gives you permission to just drop the rope.
Exactly. Drop the rope. Let the bakery be out of your favorite bagel. Let the driver cut you off in traffic. Let your friends go on that trip without you. It creates this tiny but powerful gap between the stimulus and your reaction.
That sounds so liberating. I mean, just saying those two words, let them, it feels like a sigh of relief.
It is liberating, but, and this is a huge, huge but, there's a trap here, a big one. If you stop at let them, if that's all you do, if you just use it as a way to disengage, you run into this problem Mel calls the superiority phase.
Oh, I love the visual she uses for this. The seesaw. Can you walk us through that?
This is fascinating. So imagine a seesaw. When you're in the thick of it with someone micromanaging them, arguing with them, trying to fix them, you're down in the mud with them. You're on the same level on the seesaw together.
Okay.
But when you say let them, you detach. You consciously decide to get off the seesaw.
And what happens when you get off?
You rise up, the other person is still on their end, down on the ground, and suddenly you're floating up in the air.
And the view from up there is probably pretty nice.
It can be very seductive. You look down from your perch and you think, oh, look at them being so dramatic. Look at them making such bad choices. I'm so calm up here. I'm so enlightened. I'm just letting them be.
It's a little dopamine hit of righteousness, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm the bigger person here.
It is. But it's a trap. Because if you stay there, floating above everyone else, what happens? You become isolated. You become cynical. You're just watching everyone else fail from your high horse.
You're not connecting anymore. You're just judging.
Exactly. And that path leads directly to loneliness. You become that person who is above it all, but really you're just alone.
So let them is only half the cure. It stops the immediate bleeding, but if you stop there, you're just a cynical observer of your own life. You might feel peaceful, but you're also completely disconnected.
Correct. Which brings us to part 2. The missing link. The power move.
Let me.
Let me. This is where you pivot. This is where you take radical responsibility for your response. Let them is about acceptance of reality. Let me is about your action within that reality.
So the full equation is let them, which is the detachment, plus let me, which is the action.
Equals true control, the only control you ever really have.
Okay, let's make this really concrete. Because theories are great, but I want to know how this works when my feelings are actually hurt, when I feel rejected. Let's dig into the Girls' Weekend case study Mel shares. Because this is something almost everyone has experienced in the age of Instagram.
Oh, the dreaded FOMO, fear of missing out. And it's amplified 1,000 times now because we see everything all the time.
So set the scene. Mel is just sitting on her couch, scrolling through social media like we all do.
Yep. And she sees a photo. It's a group of her friends, women she's known for years, raised her kids with. And they are all together on a girls' trip a weekend away.
And she's not there.
She is not there. She was not invited.
Oof. I can feel that in my stomach just hearing it. It's that instant sinking drop. And she says she goes into what she calls stalker mode.
Oh, full forensic analysis. We have all done this. She's zooming in on the photos to see what kind of wine they're drinking. She's checking the timestamps. She's looking at who's tagged in the photo. She's cross-referencing the location on a map.
And the whole time, the spiral is beginning, that internal monologue.
Absolutely. Why wasn't I invited? What did I do wrong? Do they hate me now? Is it because of that weird thing I said at dinner 3 years ago? She immediately internalizes it and makes it all about her. It's instant rejection.
That's the default setting for most of us, right? We assume their actions are a comment on our worth. So how does she apply the theory here? Because just saying let them doesn't make that hurt go away instantly.
No, it doesn't erase the feeling, but it stops the bleeding. It stops the spiral from getting worse. So step 1 is let them. Let them go on the trip, let them have fun, let them post the photos. The first step is just to acknowledge the reality. Their trip is happening, and it is not about Mel.
And what does that prevent her from doing?
It stops her from sending that passive-aggressive text. You know, the one that looks like fun text with the smiley face.
The most passive-aggressive text of all time.
Or, spiraling into a rage and deleting them from her contacts. It just pauses the reaction.
Okay, so she puts down the phone, she stops the external reaction, but she's still sitting on her couch, feeling lonely and left out.
And that is where let me comes in. This is the hard part. This is the part that requires real courage and self-honesty. Mel says she forces herself to look in the mirror metaphorically and ask the tough question. Okay, let me be honest with myself. When was the last time I reached out to any of these women?
And what was the answer?
Not recently, not even close. She had this moment of realization that she'd been completely buried in her work. She hadn't planned a dinner, hadn't sent a just because text, hadn't initiated anything with them in ages.
So she was waiting to be included in a dynamic that she wasn't actively contributing to.
Precisely. The let me part shifts the entire narrative. It goes from I am a victim of their exclusion to I am responsible for the quality of my social life.
That is a massive shift in perspective.
It's everything. And the lesson here is brutal, but it's so empowering. Stop waiting for an invitation to live your own life. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to entertain you. If you want connection, let me reach out. Let me be the one to plan the party. Let me send the first text.
It takes you completely out of the passenger seat of your life. I love that. It converts that stagnant, heavy energy of poor me into the forward-moving energy of here's what I will do.
Yes.
But I want to pivot now to something that affects us on a physical level. Stress. Because trying to control everything isn't just mentally annoying, it is actually wrecking our bodies.
It's purely physiological. This is not just in your head stuff. Mel brings in Dr. Aditi Nurkar, who's a Harvard physician, and she drops a stat that is just staggering.
What is it?
7 out of 10 people are living in a state of chronic stress.
7 out of 10. So that's the majority of the population. Just walking around every day in a low-grade state of fight or flight.
Constantly. And the mechanism for why this is happening is so important to understand. When we try to control the uncontrollable like traffic or a boss's mood or the weather, we essentially hijack our own brain. We shut down our prefrontal cortex.
And that's the logical part of our brain, right? The CEO.
It's the CEO, the part responsible for logic, planning, being a rational human being. And instead, we divert all the power to the amygdala.
The lizard brain. The little red fire alarm in our head.
That's it exactly. And the amygdala is primitive. It doesn't know the difference between I'm 5 minutes late for this meeting and a saber-toothed tiger is chasing me. It just knows one thing: threat.
So when you're obsessing over something you can't change, your body is physically reacting as if you are in mortal danger.
You're dumping cortisol and adrenaline into your system. You're creating inflammation in your body. It's a physical assault on yourself. And the let them theory, in this context, acts as a neurological switch. It's a circuit breaker. When you say the words let them, you are sending a direct signal to your brain that says, this is not a threat. You can turn off the alarm. Stand down.
Okay, let's apply this to another great example from the book, the airport coughing guy, because I think air travel is the ultimate test of this theory.
Now, it's a petri dish of stress.
You're trapped in a metal tube with hundreds of strangers, you have zero control over anything, and everyone is already on edge.
It's the perfect storm. So, Mel is on a plane, and there's a guy sitting right behind her who is coughing. And we're not talking about a little throat clearing here.
Yeah.
We're talking open-mouthed, wet, plague-level coughing.
Ugh, stop. That is my absolute nightmare. A wet cough is the worst sound in the entire world.
And Mel is just spiraling. She's enraged. She's judging him for being rude and inconsiderate. She's thinking, does this guy not know how germs work? She's terrified she's going to get sick before a huge speaking gig.
Her amygdala must be lighting up like a Christmas tree.
It's on fire. She is ready to turn around and scream at this man.
So how do you let them in that situation? When someone is essentially, bio-bombing your personal space,
Yeah.
it feels unsafe. It feels like you should intervene.
Well, you have to start with the cold, hard reality check. Let them. He is coughing. That is a fact. Mel cannot stop him. She cannot cure him mid-flight. Getting angry and stewing in that rage will not create a magical force field around her immune system.
So the anger is just useless energy expenditure.
It's worse than useless. It's actively harming her by flooding her own body with stress hormones. The anger is doing nothing to the virus, but it's draining her own reserves.
Okay, so that's the let them. Where's the let me?
The pivot to let me is about asking, what is actually within my sphere of control right now? Okay, let me put on my noise-canceling headphones so at least I don't have to hear it.
Well,
Let me wrap this heavy scarf around my face as a makeshift mask. Let me turn my body away from him and focus on my work.
it's about shrinking your world down to only what is within your immediate reach.
That's it. It's about reclaiming your agency. You can't stop his cough, but you can protect your own peace. And you can apply this exact same logic to work stress. Think about being strung along for a promotion.
Oh, that's a torturous situation.
It is. You can spend months agonizing over it. Why is my boss so indecisive? What did I say in that last meeting? You can gossip with coworkers, lose sleep at night, reread every email looking for hidden clues.
Which is all just spinning your wheels.
Completely. Or you can apply the theory. Let them. Let the boss be indecisive. Let the company be unfair. That is their behavior. That is a data point about them, not about you.
Okay, that's the surrender. Now the power move.
Now, let me update my resume. Let me start looking for a new job. Let me realize that I am not stuck here. I am just afraid to make a move. The core philosophy is that you are never actually powerless unless you are trying to change someone else. The second you focus on changing them, you've given all your power away. When you focus on you, you are the most powerful person in the room.
That ties perfectly into the next section, which I think is a huge one for so many people. It's about fear, specifically the fear of other people's opinions. Because a lot of the reason we don't say, let me update my resume or let me launch that business is because we are absolutely terrified of what they will say.
This is the dream killer. It holds more people back than lack of talent or lack of resources ever will. And Mel starts this section with the fact that I think is just so liberating. Humans have about 70,000 thoughts a day.
70,000. That's just a lot of noise.
It's an unbelievable amount of mental noise. And most of them are random, contradictory nonsense. You're thinking about what to have for lunch, then you're worried about an email you sent, then you're remembering the lyrics to a song from 1999, then you're wondering if you left the oven on.
Right. It's chaos in there.
It's total chaos. You cannot even control your own thoughts from moment to moment. So the idea that you could possibly control someone else's 70,000 thoughts about you, it's laughable. It's an absurdity.
Mel gives a really brave and vulnerable example of this regarding her own family, which I thought was powerful. She talks about looking at her husband, who she adores, and thinking he's gross when he farts, or thinking her daughter is being really controlling in a specific moment. She loves these people more than anything. She would die for them. But she still has fleeting negative thoughts about them.
Of course. And here's the hard pill you just have to swallow. If you have negative thoughts about the people you love the most, guess what?
They have them about you too.
They absolutely have negative thoughts about you. It is inevitable. It doesn't mean they don't love you. It just means they are human beings with 70,000 synapses firing off randomly all day long.
But we let the fear of those fleeting random thoughts completely paralyze us.
Huh.
Mel talks about her own career origin story here, which I actually didn't realize. She delayed promoting her speaking business on social media for 2 years.
2 full years. And you have to remember the context we talked about earlier. She was in massive debt. She needed the money. Her family desperately needed the money, but she wouldn't post about her work on social media.
Why?
Because she was afraid her friends, her real-life friends back in Boston, would judge her. She had this story in her head that they would all think she was full of herself or cringe.
Wow. So she was prioritizing the hypothetical, unspoken opinions of people who weren't paying her bills over her own family's financial survival.
That is the cost of fear. It makes you do completely illogical things. She talks about how success leaves clues. There's a formula for success in almost any field. If you want to be a professional speaker, you have to share your content. If you want to be a novelist, you have to actually publish your writing. But we often refuse to follow the proven formula because we want to be unique or subtle so we don't get criticized.
You want to be the cool girl who just effortlessly succeeds without ever looking like she's trying. We don't want to look thirsty.
Exactly, because trying is vulnerable. If you try really hard and then you fail, people see it. But Mel brings in a quote from the poet Mary Oliver here, and it's just such a grounding anchor for this entire conversation.
Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
It just puts everything into perspective, doesn't it? Are you really going to let your one wild and precious life be dictated by a fear that Susan from accounting might think you're trying a little too hard on LinkedIn?
When you put it that way, it sounds ridiculous.
Because it is. The actionable advice here is blunt, but it's necessary. Assume people are judging you, because they probably are in some fleeting way, and then let them. Do it anyway. Make the decisions that are going to make you proud of yourself, not the decisions that are designed to manage other people's fleeting perceptions of you, because at the end of the day, their opinion doesn't pay your rent, and it sure as hell doesn't fulfill your soul.
Assume they are judging you and do it anyway. That is strong. That's like putting on a suit of armor. Okay, let's move to section 5. Dealing with difficult people. And specifically, dealing with adult emotional tantrums. Because it's one thing to ignore a coughing guy on a plane. It's a completely different thing when your partner or your boss is acting out and, screaming at you.
This is where we bring in another expert, Dr. Ann Davin. And she offers an insight that is honestly hilarious, but also deeply, deeply accurate. She says, most adults are just 8-year-olds in big bodies.
Laughing. I mean, just look around at traffic or a customer service counter on any given day. She's not wrong.
She is 100% not wrong. The core concept is that many, many people never actually learned how to regulate their emotions. It's a skill like tying your shoes or learning to read. If you were never taught it, you don't magically acquire it when you turn 18.
So when these adults feel big feelings like fear or shame or anger, they react in the exact same way they did when they were children.
Exactly. So a child sulking in the corner because they didn't get a new toy
becomes an adult giving you the silent treatment for 3 days because they feel slighted.
Precisely. And a child throwing a full-blown tantrum on the floor of the supermarket because they're tired and overwhelmed
becomes an adult sending a string of rage texts or screaming at someone in road rage.
It's the same behavior, just in a bigger body.
So how does knowing this help us? Because, frankly, dealing with a screaming child is exhausting. But dealing with a screaming 6-foot-tall adult can be genuinely scary.
It helps because it completely changes the lens through which you see the behavior. When you're dealing with a difficult acting out adult, Mel suggests you literally visualize them as a 4th grader.
A 4th grader?
Yes. In your mind's eye, picture them wearing a backpack and holding a little lunchbox. Now, if a 9-year-old yelled at you, would you be devastated? Would you spiral and question your entire worth as a human being?
No, of course not. I'd think, wow, this poor kid is having a really hard time. They probably need a snack or nap. Where are their parents?
Exactly. It immediately shifts your reaction from fear and anger to something more like pity and compassion. You stop taking it so personally. You realize, oh, this isn't actually about me. This is about their complete inability to handle their own big feelings. It creates critical distance.
Okay, let's talk about the silent treatment specifically, because I think that is one of the most painful and insidious things adults do to each other. It feels like a punishment. It feels like you're being erased.
It's pure manipulation. That's all it is. It's a tactic to get attention without ever having to be vulnerable. It's a way of saying, I am going to withhold connection and affection from you until you crawl back to me, guess what I want, and apologize for something you don't even understand you did. Yeah. It is a power play.
So what's the instinctual reaction?
Yeah.
It's to chase.
Yes.
Right? To plead. What's wrong? Are you mad at me? Please just talk to me. I'll do anything.
And that is exactly what the inner child in them wants. It reinforces the behavior. If they go silent and you immediately start chasing them, you have just taught them a very powerful lesson. Silence is the fastest way to get your attention and make you work for their approval.
So the theory says, let them be silent.
Yes. Do not chase. Do not send a dozen texts. Do not beg. That is just feeding the beast.
And this is where the let me comes in.
The powerful let me here is. Let me go about my day. Let me go to the gym. Let me make dinner. Let me watch my show. Let me prove to myself and to them that my happiness is not contingent on their mood.
And on a deeper level.
On a deeper level, it's, let me decide if I want to remain in a relationship with someone who uses silence as a weapon and cannot communicate like a functioning adult. When you start chasing, you break the entire cycle. You force them to make a choice. Either come forward and use their words or stay over there in their corner alone.
That is incredibly powerful. It just stops the dance completely. There's another tool in this section I really want to touch on. It's called the frame of reference. This comes from Lisa Bilyeu, and Mel uses a really personal story about her mother here that I found very touching.
This was a tough one, yeah. So the context is, Mel gets engaged to her now husband, Chris. She is over the moon, so excited. She calls her mom to share the amazing news. And you expect that movie moment, right? Screaming, happy, crying, oh my God, show me the ring. Popping champagne over the phone.
And instead she gets...
flatness, crickets. Her mom was just not excited. She was cool, distant, almost dismissive.
Can you even imagine? That has to hurt so deeply. That's a core memory that's now being tainted with this feeling of rejection.
Mel was devastated. She felt completely unsupported. She was angry. She felt like her mother disapproved of her choice, of Chris. And she held on to that resentment for a very long time. But years later, using this frame of reference tool, she reframed the entire memory. She decided to look at it through her mom's lens, not her own.
Okay, so what was her mom's lens? What was her frame of reference?
Well, Mel's mom had left home at 17 and never moved back. In her own lived experience, her frame of reference, children leaving home, meant they were gone forever. It meant loss. So when Mel called her that day to say, I'm getting married, her mom didn't hear, I'm so happy and I'm gaining a son. She heard, my daughter is marrying a guy from the East Coast and she is never coming home again.
Which, to be fair, is pretty much what happened. Mel built her life on the East Coast.
Exactly. So her mom's lack of excitement wasn't disapproval of Mel or Chris. It was her own grief. It was her own fear of loss. It was a mother's heart breaking in slow motion, seen through the lens of her own past.
That distinction changes everything.
It allows you to hold space for their feelings without taking it personally. Two things can be true at once. Mom is sad and fearful, and Mel is happy and in love. You don't have to fix her sadness to be allowed to enjoy your happiness. You can let them have their reaction, whatever it is, while you have yours. You don't need their reaction to validate your own feelings.
Okay, this is so good. We've covered social exclusion, stress, other people's opinions, and dealing with difficult people. Now we have to talk about the absolute thief of joy, comparison.
The big one. Especially today with social media, we are just constantly, endlessly comparing our messy behind the scenes, our messy houses, our debt, our self-doubts, with everyone else's perfectly curated highlight reel.
And Mel breaks this down into two very distinct types, which I found so helpful. It's comparison as torture versus comparison as a teacher. Because not all jealousy is the same. Some of it is completely useless, and some of it is actually really useful information.
Right. So let's start with type 1, torture. This is when you compare yourself to things you absolutely cannot change. Fixed traits, your height, who your parents are, your natural God-given talents.
She uses her own daughters as a really clear example of this.
She does. Her daughter Sawyer would obsess over her sister Kendall's natural metabolism and her beautiful singing voice. Kendall could eat whatever she wanted and just sing like an angel without trying. And Sawyer felt like she had to work so much harder for everything.
And comparing herself to Kendall's natural gifts didn't make Sawyer a better singer.
No, of course not. It just made her miserable. These are genetic lottery wins. Comparing yourself to them is a completely useless exercise. It's what psychologists call upward comparison, and it's been proven to just destroy self-esteem because there's no actionable path to achieving it. You can't train yourself into a different DNA sequence.
So the only solution there is just let them have their gifts.
Yes, you have to accept that life isn't fair. You cannot logic your way into a different genetic code. Stop beating yourself up for not being someone else. Let them be tall or naturally athletic or a musical prodigy, and then pivot and focus on your own unique strengths.
But then there's type 2, comparison as a teacher. This is the good kind. This is where that pang of jealousy actually becomes a map.
This is when you look at someone and you feel that envy, but it's about something you could actually achieve if you were willing to put in the work. It's actionable jealousy.
There's a great story here about Molly and her neighbor.
Yes. So Molly is a professionally trained interior designer, and she gets furious, white-hot furious, because her amateur neighbor starts a home design website and is suddenly blowing up on social media.
And Molly's thinking, she's a fraud. I have the degree. I'm the real designer. Why is she winning? Her font choice is terrible.
Exactly. She is just stewing in this righteous anger. But here's the truth. The neighbor isn't stealing Molly's success. The neighbor is doing the work that Molly is too afraid or too proud to do. The neighbor is posting consistently. The neighbor is building a community online. She's proving that it's possible.
Mel calls this the irritating person principle.
Yes. Sometimes it takes someone truly annoying, someone you think you're better than, to wake you up. If they can do it, if that neighbor you think is an amateur can build a huge following, then you have absolutely no excuse. If they can do it, so can you.
So the let me in this situation is what? Just get to work.
Put in the reps. It's that simple. Mel references Tom Brady here. People look at extraordinary success and they think it's magic or luck. But if you actually look at someone like Brady, it's just boring, consistent, relentless discipline. It's his diet, it's watching film, it's practicing throws over and over again. Use that jealousy as fuel. Don't just stew in it. Let it drive you to go and build the thing you actually want. If you're jealous of her website, let me build my own website. If you're jealous of their fit body, let me go to the gym.
Put in the reps. I like that. It turns that passive envy into active energy. Okay, we're heading into the final stretch here, and Mel saves the hardest, most high-stakes application of this theory for the very end, making the right decision.
And this comes from a listener question that's just a gut punch, a groom. He writes to Mel, and he is terrified. He wants to call off his wedding.
Oh, man. The stakes do not get higher than that. That is not a someone cut me off in traffic problem.
No. The deposits are all paid. The invitations have been sent. The parents are all excited. The fiancé is madly in love and planning their future. And he knows deep down in his gut that this is wrong. He knows he shouldn't go through with it. But he is completely paralyzed by the fallout.
He doesn't want to break all those hearts. He doesn't want to disappoint his parents and hers. He's trying to manage everyone else's emotions at the direct expense of his entire future.
And this brings us to one of the hardest truths in life. The right decision often feels completely wrong in the moment.
Why? Why does it feel so wrong?
Because it causes pain. We are biologically and socially wired to avoid causing pain to the people we love. We have this deep-seated belief that if I'm a good person, I won't hurt people. But sometimes being a good and honest person requires you to cause short-term pain in order to avoid a lifetime of misery for everyone.
So how do you possibly navigate that emotional hurricane? How do you do the quote-unquote selfish thing when you know it's going to hurt so many people you care about?
You have to start to view emotions as waves. Mel talks about the 90-second rule from neuroscience. Emotions are just chemical events in the body. They rise, they peak, and then they fall. And when you drop a bomb like "I can't marry you," that wave is going to be a tsunami.
There's no avoiding it.
There is no avoiding it. There will be anger, grief, shock, betrayal. It's going to be devastating. But you have to be willing to ride that wave without drowning in it. You cannot set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. That is the ultimate let them, let me.
Let them be angry. Let them be disappointed.
Yeah.
Let them cry. Let them think you are the villain in their story for a while.
All of it. And let me save my own life. Let me live authentically, because staying in a marriage that you know is wrong just to avoid a few months of difficult, painful emotions, that's a tragedy. It's a tragedy for you, and it's a tragedy for the fiancé.
Right.
She deserves to be with someone who actually, truly wants to marry her, not someone who is just there out of guilt and fear.
That is a very heavy, but a very necessary note to end on. It really shows the full scope of this idea. This isn't just about ignoring annoying people in traffic. It's about fundamental, life-altering choices. It's about agency.
It is absolutely the difference between being a passenger in your own life and being the driver.
So, as we wrap all this up, what's the big takeaway for the listener right now? Where do they start? Because, calling off a wedding is a massive step.
Start small. Please do not start with calling off the wedding. Start in traffic today. Start in the long line at the coffee shop tomorrow morning. Start with a friend who cancels dinner plans at the last minute.
You have to build the let them muscle on the low-stakes stuff first.
Exactly. Just practice detaching. The next time you feel that tightness in your chest, that itch to control, just catch yourself.
Let's say the words.
Say the words, either out loud or just in your head. Let them. And really feel that physical release. And then immediately pivot to let me. Ask yourself that one simple question. Okay, that happened. What am I going to do now to make my next moment a little bit better?
Mel says your let me era is here. And I think that's just a fantastic invitation for all of us.
It really is. It's an invitation to stop trying to fix everyone else and finally start building the life you actually want to live.
I love that. Thank you so much for unpacking all of this with me today. This was really eye-opening. I think I have some texts I need to not send now.
My pleasure. It is a total game changer of a theory.
And to everyone listening, thank you for diving in with us. We'll leave you with this one thought to mull over. Who or what are you trying to control right now? And what would happen? What would actually change for you if you just let them? See you next time.